Hi guys, thank you so much for joining in, especially after a long Thursday evening. I understand that it takes quite something to take out time and come for this session. I really would like to appreciate and welcome everybody for today's session, which is about what companies get wrong about ESOPs and how do you fix it. Right. We've worked with more than 150 plus companies across different stages of their ESOP journey, and we've seen firsthand the different challenges that companies come across. Right, and more than 70% of companies face significant challenges within the first 2 years of the ESOP implementation itself. Right, the point of this meeting is to have an honest conversation with some industry veterans and distinguished leaders who've been in the trenches, who've seen this journey. Right. The whole chaos, the madness that comes along with ESOP implementation, and now on the other side, where everything is much more structured, processed, etc. Right. The panel today has leaders from both finance and the HR background to give us different perspectives. So joining me today, I'll welcome the panel one by one. Is Mr. Manish. He's a chartered accountant by profession who leads the ESOP practice here at Xumane. Right. We have Mr. Senthil Kumar, who's the head of HR at Thingas, formerly known as EGP and Pratham, who brings in tons and tons of expertise and invaluable insights on HR strategy, talent acquisition, retention, and the complete employee experience journey with ESOPs, right? And we also have Mr. Pankaj Tibrewal, who's a senior partner at AAA Insolvency Professionals LLP, whose extensive experience covers finance, compliance, and regulatory aspects of ESOPs, right? So, together, we shall explore the real challenges that companies face when ESOP programs don't deliver on their promise, and more importantly, how do you actually fix those problems, right? So, once again, I would like to invite everybody to this webinar, and let's just dive deep in. Right. So for the first segment, we'll be talking about the reality check. Right. So this is the first couple of questions are for you, Manish. Right. So where I will be asking you, like, given you have more than 8+ years of experience working with, companies like Farai Delivery, where you've managed ESOPs for more than 3,000 plus employees in an organization as well. So you've seen this journey over the past few years, almost a decade now. So, according to you, what is the reality of ESOP management in most companies right now?
Thank you so much, Nikhil, for the wonderful introduction and for this question. It's a great thing. Like, it's in one word, it's very chaotic, right? Like, most companies mean well, but they don't realize how complicated ESOPs actually are. We have seen verbal promises never getting documented, right? Excel sheets are there, but with no track record. There are multiple owners of those Excel, maybe someone from HR, then finance, then company secretary as it whole, and ultimate beneficiary who are your employees. They have to still knock doors and doors sometime for even a single information. And same happens with your auditor, external parties and internal parties, right? So we have seen these things, right? No track, who's vested or who's left, whose labs expire, everything. No audit trail. At time of audit there are a lot of chows happening, right? So it only becomes urgent when a new hire asks for their grant letters, or some audit is happening, due diligence is happening, or a VC asks for the equity related data for a due diligence part. So that's when the panic starts, and organization and maybe the real stakeholders start valuing, okay, this is also a very crucial role where we have to deploy resources or deploy focus on.
Right, right. And what are the top three mistakes that you see companies or founders, new founders, the mistakes that they do repeatedly as far as ESOP management is concerned?
It depends on a organization to organization and how that organization value that particular thing. Like for example, for early stage or for a young startup, it can be a very high focus area because you are launching it for your key people. But as and when organization grow, definitely it by naturally it will go in vain, and maybe there are a lot of people joining and lot of other areas to focus on. But on top, if you will highlight like this, many organization treat ESOP as a future problem. Okay, we have committed, we have granted. We'll think when the day will come when actual equity needs to be allotted, right? So they many times promise it at the time of hiring or at the offer letter, but that grant never
Right.
happens. Or even I have seen many cases, I cannot name the organization, many good brand names where they have committed equity, even they have granted it through offer letter and grant letter, but actually their ESOP scheme has not been created, which is legally incorrect. Second is like,
Right.
when we start, we may be at a 50 or a 100 employee scale, or maybe at a 20, 30 employee scale, but as you grow, the organization grows, the count grows, the complexities grows. So Excel sheets or Google spreadsheets cannot scale with that, because you have to input, you have to capture that cell again and again, right? So I've seen companies lose track
Right.
of millions in equity values, right? I'm talking about some unicorns as well, right? Third is, who is the ultimate beneficiary, right? For whom you are creating this, for whom we are conducting this webinar, for whom the ESOPs are getting launched. It's E, which is your employee, right? Ultimately, we are not
Right.
creating that awareness for the employee. Employees are not getting educated. So most of the cases, at a very senior and a top level management as well, they have ESOP worth rupees, say, hypothetically X number of amount, but they leave it because they do not know on the date of leaving, on the date of putting the resignation or leaving the organization, how much we are leaving on the table. So aware, making your employees aware, they don't understand like what is vesting, what is taxation, what is option, and what I will have to do. Maybe it's a liability for me or option for me. So this creates unrealistic expectation and trust issues. And if this is the only reason, when I go and talk in some panels about ESOPs, like most of the employees are not ready to accept your ESOP is just notional, there's no actual value. But
Right.
talk from the employees of delivery, ask from the employees of fresh work, ask from the employees of Swiggy. They will tell you the history and geography of all about ESOPs. So these are the top three highlights which I can want to add in.
Right. Absolutely, Manish. I think makes a lot of sense. And the first step to actually, improving any problem that you have is to acknowledge them and, be aware. So I think now that for our audience, they will also have some perspective on mistakes and, hopefully will look to, improve them. So on to the next segment. So we have our guests. So we will be covering two different critical perspectives, one from the HR side and one from the finance side. So the first question is for you, Mr. Senthil. So from a HR perspective, what was the state of thing as stocks SAR program before you implemented a structured approach? So some context for the audience. We have different types of equity options. One of them is ESOPs, one is SAR, one is ESPP. So there are different bunch of equity options. So the main difference between an ESOP and an SAR, which stands for stock appreciation rights. So under ESOPs, companies generally offer stock options at a discounted rate, and employees have to pay some money to exercise them, right? And it involves more compliances, more reporting, etc. And as far as SAR is concerned, just to give you an example, how it typically works is, let's say an employee joined a company when stock price was 100 rupees, and after some time it goes to 500 rupees. So the delta between 500 and 100 is the appreciation that the stock price had after the employee joined. So that delta is how the employee will get to make money, right? And they don't actually get some equity shares of the company. And from a company standpoint, it's very easy to manage as compared to ESOPs. So that's a little bit about ESOPs versus SAR. And we'll be pasting a link, an article, a detailed guide talking about this if any of you are curious. So over to you, Mr. Senthil.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikhil, for a wonderful introduction and making me participate in this session. But I am seeing about close to 40 plus participants. I don't know what is their exposure level of ESOP and SAR. Coming to my background, I have implemented both ESOP as well as SAR in my previous organizations, starting
Right.
from a chaotic range of managing in spreadsheets and also having a proper platform in both the organizations. So that way we have probably transformed both ESOP and SAR. And you have given a very clear explanation what is ESOP and what is SAR. Basically, my HR perspective is that first of all, the HR fraternity should be aware of the ESOP and SAR. It's not the finance job, or it is not the overall board level implementation wherein we are just only implementing. It is not the case.
Right.
The HR fraternity plays a major role here. First thing is that I want to clearly tell this is a equity ownership to all the employees. Almost we are making all our employees as owners of the organization. We have to think in that level. and they are directly contributing, not apart from their KPIs and KRAs, they are also probably coming to a dashboard level wherein their contribution is directly going to impact the organization. The overall value chain is going to improve. Accordingly, he is also going to get benefit and organization is also going to get benefit. So that is the value proposition we have to understand. Second thing is that
Right.
making this very complex, you have just touched upon few points. There are granting period, there are vesting schedule, additional grant, lot of things are there. It is more and more complex. So more and more tracking is required for each employee. There may be multiple grants with multiple price range. Different challenges are there. Managing it in a probably maximized Excel system will really not support. And again, more importantly, it is not a employee-employer relationship. The once the
Right.
employee leaves the organization, also still the value chain continues as per of ESOP or SAR. So if organization
Right,
is
sir.
having their ESOP policy like that, so it is more complex and very rigid management is required. So earlier we were having struggle in managing all those things. But as rightly pointed out by Manish, when employee comes in that point in time, we are giving letter. Will that will not work out. So more like having a proper dashboard system will really tell the employee what is his value today, and that too in multiple currencies. So probably if it is
Right.
US dollar or INR, whatever it is. So that way it will give a big thing. So I advise to all the HR fraternity, it should be probably a clear system should be there, either an in-house developed system or whatever vanilla product available in market with some amount of customization. That will end their thing. And more importantly, the subject should be really probably discussed among themselves, and they should have complete clarity. They are the spokesperson to HR, to any employee, so they should be having a clear cut idea on what they are implementing.
Right, sir. Thanks. That really helps with a lot of context. So, Mr. Pankaj, next question is for you. From a finance standpoint, what was the biggest challenge you faced when managing ESOPs manually in a corporate setup? The first ESOP rollout that you did in a manual setting. How was it, and what challenges did you face?
Thank you, Nikhil, for having me here and for the nice
Pleasure.
introduction. Uh, so basically, with my experience, what I feel that there was a lot of ambiguity in entire organization and particularly and generally in the market, which we
Right,
faced
sir.
and understand while implementing the first ESOP plan for one of our client. And there were tons of questions, but we find that no clear, enough clear, actionable answer, and most guidance were generic and didn't help or solve the practical challenges faced by us in the first rollout. And therefore, we feel that there are, even the so-called called experts in the market have no answer with the practical implementation of such process or maybe ESOP process implementation. And hence, it is very important that the organization which is implementing that stock option first time, the people or the organization's HR and accounts team needs to have a proper hand holding in terms of their briefing to the employees about what is ESOP, how it works, and all clear as Manish rightly said. There are grants, exercise, there are vesting. Everything has to be clarified in a very clear and crisp manner so that employee understand, because all are not technical people, and therefore it becomes very difficult sometimes to manage their queries. And as you rightly said, they people tend to feel that this is nothing, it's just a paper,
Mm-hmm.
so practically they are not going to get anything, and hence many a times they get demotivated. And as Senthil also referred, that many senior people, the moment they see that there is no clarity with respect to ESOP, they are actually declined that offer of the organization, and in turn organization lose or loses good resources just because of the no clarity in terms of ESOP.
Absolutely.
So that is what is my experience.
Right, sir. So thanks for that. I think even in my own personal experience before, about 3, 4 years ago, even I did not have even an inch or a clue about what ESOPs are. How do I actually, understand? There's a lot of, misconceptions that go around in the market. A lot of my peers, etc. When they receive some job offers, they're like, bro, what does this even mean, right? So I think, uh, but the thing is that if people get to understand this, there is a lot of value that gets created, right? So over to you, Manish. How did Xumane even come about? Like, what was the gap that you saw in the market? That sort of pushed you to build this.
Yeah, before that, continuing with the answers from Mr. Pankaj and Senthil, ultimately we all need to see for whom we have created it. We want to, if any new thing, not only ESOP, any new thing coming to any organization, coming to any place, right? That should create some easiness, that should add some value, that should make life easy of the people. But most of the organization and most of the flag bearers who ultimately own this for the organization and corporates do not want this to start, because everyone is very, in ambiguity. What will happen next? Who will take this? What is the next step? Who will guide us? Who will handle all these query? Let us add a PLI, let us add a variable component instead of entering into all those components. Now, in terms of a gap, if you see, there are a number of gaps, but gaps are not because of data is not available or information is not available. It is like, it's not something like a Google query. We ask a general questions and we get a generic responses. Here, every single organization, every single employer or the founder have their specific queries or have their specific questions. For that, they need a specific answers. Anyone can give them 100 pages of a documentation as per the laws, as per the accounting principle, as per the industry best practices, but that may not suit them. So now coming to it, we see a massive disconnect between the intent and execution. And when I say intent and execution, you will find every founder genuinely wants to reward their team with equity, right? Everyone knows that they people are associated with me from day one. This is my core team. Why only fixed plus variable? I should have certain loyalty bonus for them, reward, retention, anything, or a performance link incentive for them. But that rewarding with their team with equity, but they often lack the tool, structure, proper knowledge, proper handholding, or a time to manage it properly, right? Now,
Right.
sorry, now the problem comes at the stage one when we are planning. So over the last couple of years, I have seen a proper shift from startups to conventional organization who are 50, 60 year old. They are listed, they are doing well, but now their chairmen, their managing directors are coming up front and saying, "Okay, these are the people who are associated with us from last 20 years, last 30 years. Now it's my time to pay them back." So just create it so that everyone can make out most of it, but I don't know how to go with it and all those things, right? Now, when employers have those kind of a non-clarity, but they have a right intention, employees also know, okay, we had this promise at certain point in time, 2 year back, 3 year back, but still we have not got anything informal. So employee didn't understand what they had or what they are going to have, right? So this is the gap. There is an intention but no execution, or organization have launched the plan but they cannot communicate it well. So you pick up a data. I'll just give you the source as well. Organization having ESOPs, what is their attrition rate? Organization do not have ESOPs, what is their attrition rate, right?
Right.
I'll go one level more deeper into it. We are just checking at attrition level. We have to check it. Even that attrition, people who leave after having ESOP, we have to check how many are leaving within year one with no ESOPs getting vested, how many leaves after year four when everything is vested for them, right? That is the right source
Right.
of measuring whether my ESOP or equity plan is successful or not. But how does the organization measure it when I do not have any proper system? So I myself I'm a chartered accountant by profession, and when I was handling it at a delivery or other organization, there is a huge data, right? The CHRO, the CFO, the company secretary team, the compliance team, the auditors, everyone wants for their filtered out information for the particular set of function or employees or team. But from where they will get it? They will get dependent on a person's Excel sheet, and they will have that reliability on that person's capability of knowing the Excel formulas. If a person
Right.
believe that this person knows Excel best, so they believe the data is also correct, but that person is not available all the time. So this is the gap. So create a system, create a process, create a integration which is a real time, which the promoter, the founder, the management, the employer, the employee, the auditor, the internal teams get as and when they want, right? So for
Right.
the better way to manage is to have a platform like this which will serve a real-time problem on a real-time basis for all the stakeholder, and that is it. That is how Xumane got started, and organization are using it, and we are seeing a massive increase in kind of a new organization. And with new, I mean not startup. Every startup is planning ESOPs nowadays, but I'm talking about listed entities. Talk about organization like Duroflex. Talk about organization like Mac Conferences Limited. They are listed in the stock exchange many years back, right? But they have launched ESOP recently. So this was the gap, and this is why Xumane got launched. I hope I answered it
Right.
clearly.
Yes, absolutely. So I think part of what you said, Manish, Mr. Senthil, the next question is for you, right? And like we covered a little bit about the lack of awareness in employees, and that a lot of education around this has to be done. So what was the gap, or how did you solve for the lack of clarity around the SARs, and how did it impact the employee trust and employee retention?
Yeah, it has a major impact, Nikhil. I can say it has a major impact. As I rightly said, I had exposure from ESOP to SAR. Right away, I can say I am having a clarity of about 80 to 90% because it's so complex. So if HR themselves have lot of Q&A with CFOs, Q&A with the implementation partners and other people, we have about 90% clarity. But for an employee who joins the organization who doesn't have any SAR or ESOP exposure in his past organization, the challenge is more for you to convince him, explain him at the joining level, and also gaining his trust is also very important. So gaining the trust
Right.
is big issue. And some of the panelists like Manish or Pankaj, I don't know, they were sharing that instead of this, I can better get a PLI or bonus instead of getting a ESOP or SAR. That will be the most of the senior level employee response also during their negotiations at the time of joining. So that was the case.
Right.
But again, as an organization, we have to gain their trust first. And next thing is that we also have to live up to their expectations by giving their grant letters in time, setting up the portal for them on time, and probably making their promises into reality, whatever it is. So that will really give a proper thing. And again, as an organization, once first year, second year is gone, the current employees will become your brand masters, wherein any new
Right.
employee, once he onboards the organization, he will discuss with his fellow colleague, either his subordinate or superior. They may say that the last payout has happened at this point in time. This is the gain. Then it becomes a big boom. All the employee will be having the trust, and this news will spread to the market. So that way, it cannot be a overnight journey. It will be a very long-lasting, fruitful effort, probably done by all the team members, including employees and leadership level. So that
Right.
was our journey as well. So that way we have transformed this, but still there are few employees or fellow colleagues will be having probably less trust towards this, but there is again a long way to go in. I hope I have
Right.
answered
Absolutely.
your queries.
Absolutely, sir. So we'll just switch gears from an HR perspective to a finance perspective now. So, Mr. Pankaj, as far as ESOPs are concerned, what were the compliance challenges that really troubled you or kept you up at night?
Actually, frankly speaking, we were not exactly aware as to what all are the compliances required I mean, per se. And therefore
Right.
it was keeping all of us up at night while those compliances were supposed to be completed, which were not even limited to board and shareholders approval, ROC filings, and critical updates. But the biggest issue was to know exactly what are required to be done to move confidently forward from there, so that we are compliant in terms of whatever is required to be complied with in terms of ESOP implementation. And therefore, it was really a big challenge, which was, I think, now with a partner like you, are comparatively much easier than what it used to be. That's what is my experience and understanding after working with you guys. So I must appreciate that
Thank you so
is
much.
really helpful. So I think the people who are actually, I mean, not only you, organization, there are other organizations who are working. So I believe whoever can solve these issues and give us the clear guideline in terms of what are the compliances required, that is really helpful, and at the same time making the organization compliant with the requirement.
Right, sir. Thank you, sir. So, just to add to that, Manish, from your side, just wanted to hear a little bit more about compliances, that you typically see companies, don't know about, and which are very critical just to even get started and issue a grant letter to an employee.
Yeah, I would say like if you go and Google any organization, go and Google, there will be particular set of steps mentioned there, and it applies both early stage, growth stage, bigger companies, smaller companies. Listed will have certain additional part. So I always say it like there are only four steps. All right, then I'll answer directly. One is create a scheme which is you think is right for you. Don't follow a format. Don't follow a already created policy and just name changes and all those things, which already was happening years back. So create a customized ESOP scheme for you. Take that scheme to your board and take a board approval, because board needs to approve it. Once board has approved it, give a conduct a EGM, approve it in a shareholders meeting. These are two compliance steps. Take a board approval, take a shareholder approval. Once shareholder approval is given, within next 30 days, you have to file form MGT 14 on ROC platform, and then your policy is live. You can start immediately granting ESOP. So these steps will going to remain same and forever, right? Maybe certain amendments may come in and certain changes may come in the filings and all those laws. But what important is rolling it out internally. My policy is created. Now how to roll it, how to start implement, that is the biggest compliance, right? Because for whom I am creating it, they should know it. So conduct a ESOP town hall internally, aware your employee what we have created, what was the management and the organization thought behind launching it, what we are planning to create for you, what you can make maximum out of it. And these are the compliance or action checks at your end as well. And maybe you can link it to taxation, you can link it to cash flows, you can link it to wealth creating opportunities. Those should be cleared out immediately on day one. And at least organization now has started doing a ESOP, oh sorry, the organization town hall in many startups or many organization town hall happens, wherein organization explain what the business is doing, what the functions are doing. Please conduct a ESOP town hall in your organization once in a year, twice in a year, thrice in a year, and make take your employees in confidence. That is the biggest compliance which everyone is missing. So for whom we have created, they are not in confidence, no ESOP policy can become successful. So legal compliances will remain same forever. They are same from last 15 50 years in the country. Certain amendments will come, but internally make rollout effective, create those documents, clearly mention the do's and don'ts in the grant letter, clearly communicate
Right.
the grant letter to your employees, and make sure someone is taking that ownership, that employee understand what is in there. Because otherwise again they will come 9 months 12 months down the line and put resignation, losing a huge opportunity of wealth creation again, and then join another, then no success is there. So nutshell, internal rollout is much more important than external compliances.
Right. So thanks, Manish. And I think there are a lot of bunch of statistics around the cost. Like companies across the world lose billions of dollars, just when a good resource of their leaves, and the cost of replacing an employee is massive, right? So it's better to retain existing talent and make them aware about what their ESOP policy is than to lose them, right? So, Mr. Senthil, over to you. What changed after implementing a proper stock option management platform? So you mentioned that earlier you were managing it manually on an Excel as well, and post that you pivoted to a platform. So what was the change that you saw in terms of managing it overall from a HR standpoint?
Yeah, there's huge change. It cannot be simple. As you rightly said, the platform management will be very rightful way. And Manish was also touched upon that particular point. We have to depend on a particular resource, whatever skill level he may be, but still he is also a human being. At a point in time, he will probably forget the certain aspects to it, and he will be having multiple other role to play. And more,
Right.
the ESOP or SAR will be more complex. Probably additional grants will be given. It's not very simple. Probably it can be simple, but there are organizations which are having very complex thing, because based on the emerging need, changing requirement, they will be giving additional grants at a different vesting price. Vesting schedule may be different for same employee. Three different vesting schedule will be there. Two different rates will be there. Likewise, it is very complex. Under each employee, there will be multiple level of probably checks and balances to be done. So that can be definitely a portal. A strong portal has to be there. Even in fact, we have explored multiple portals, and finally we landed with you, and we are comfortable today. I can proudly say that, because you have probably understood our requirement correctly. Because in market may there are a lot of vanilla products available, wherein it can be probably fitting to their shoe, whatever it is. We have to alter our feet actually. But instead,
Right.
probably probably you have understood our requirement, and you nailed it properly. That way, it was very easy for us. There were scenario where in my earlier organization we were having platform. We are also maintaining it in Excel, which is a double cumbersome process journey we had. Probably at the end of the day, I can tell you simply, we have given grant letter, but the same value is not reflecting in the portal. Then there is no use of having a portal at all, right? So that is
Right.
the huge difference. So the trust is completely gone. Employee will come with a letter saying that this is the grant letter, and this is the current exchange rate, but the value reflecting in the portal is something very different. So either we have to put portal under maintenance for some time, and we should, as rightly said by Manish, we have to announce in the town hall that it is getting developed, it is getting updated. You will be able to see the right value on this particular date. So that should be the medium of
Right.
communication. Otherwise, it will be a huge challenge. And again, for our organization having many employees, 1,000 employees or 2,000 employees, HR cannot be always probably in the front line to explain them. So that way,
Right.
probably having a proper portal will definitely help organizations to manage effectively, and a silent medium of communication will be good. And
Right. Right.
real-time dollar
So,
value and other things are getting updated. So that is giving more comfort to the employee as and when he logs into the system. So it's a big
right,
difference.
sir. Right, sir. So thanks for that HR perspective. Now Mr. Pankaj, from a finance standpoint, many leaders or many organizations still manage, ESOPs on a spreadsheet. So, what would your advice be, or how does moving to a platform help purely from a compliance or a financial standpoint or a reporting standpoint?
Yeah, so there is a lot of difference in terms of, I mean, I can say that you are in control since day one. The moment you start using a good platform, so you are in full control of that entire workflow, starting from grant letter, approval workflow, streamline, and I mean, we need not to worry about the manual workflow or missing compliances steps, or I mean, the all the heavy liftings are being done by the platform, and we are really seeing the benefits, and confidently we are able to communicate with both employees and auditors, as well as, I mean, there is lot of in terms of peace of mind, if we say so, because
Right.
employee can see, do, and act in any manner as they want. So mostly they need not to come back to us for any kind of queries, but even if they need to, it's very easy to explain to them through the workflow of the platform, and it was really helpful.
Right. Thanks. So one last question to you, Mr. Senthil, in this, and then we'll quickly move on to the last segment. So, what advice would you give to other HR leaders who are struggling with the ESOP chaos in general? Right. So you've been there, you've seen the chaos. What is something that helped you in your journey, and now that you see that shift is already done.
Okay. So once, as you actually, as Manish rightly pointed out, he pointed out the step-by-step process of ESOP implementation. That HR should partner from day one, and they have to thoroughly do it diligently. Automatically, problems will be solved. And please don't wait up to the last minute. Have a proper portal from day one, as Pankaj also pointed out that particular point. So keep track of all things from day one. That itself will give a big freedom on your implementation. Otherwise, once implemented in a manual mode, converting it to a platform mode will have its own issues. Of course, it can be done, but still it will be very complex. So once you have decided to roll out a plan, probably first is subject knowledge. Keep a thorough understanding of the policy procedure, starting from the board approval policy up to your implementation cycle. You should have a thorough knowledge. Second thing is that you should have a proper data management, record management. I suggest, in my personal opinion, it should be some through some portal. Will end most of the problems.
Right. So thanks. So let's move on to our final segment, and post that I would request the members in the audience, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, us, anybody in the panel, feel free to put them in the chat box, right? And we'll take them up one by one. So last couple of questions, we'll have a quick rapid fire where I'll be asking the same question to all of you, right, one by one, and then you can have a quick answer to those questions. So the first question is, what is one red flag that screams fix your ESOP now? So I think we'll start with Manish, first you, and then on to the others.
Sorry, Nikhil, we can get the question again.
Yeah, so I was saying, what is one red flag that screams fix your ESOPs now, right? So that there is a problem that you need to address as soon as possible.
Right. So very clearly, if there are multiple owners of one single data point or one single information, then it's a red flag. So if your equity or if your stock options data is managed by HR, finance, company secretary, and multiple other stock or stakeholders, sorry, then it's a clear red flag. So it's the right time for you to make those things out, right? So it's a red flag.
Right. So Mr. Senthil, over to you.
Yeah, basically any employee can step into any HR cabin at any point in time. So you will be in a different workflow. You will be doing something different. At that point in time, he will come and ask, "Arey, oh, what is this? Is not reflecting correctly." So it's better to keep things intact from day one, so that most of your answers will be handled by platform itself. So that
Right.
is my answer to this.
Mr. Pankaj, your take on this question?
My take is related to fundraise. Basically, if you are about to fundraise, and your ESOP data is not investor ready, then you are in big soup. I mean, it becomes very challenging to convince the investor by mean of Excel sheets and the data
Right.
which are not actually collated in a proper manner with the clear workflow and the clear impact of everything, so that the prospective investor understand it in terms of what are the future implications of these, I mean, ESOP.
Right.
That is the biggest
Uh,
red flag to my mind. Thanks.
Right. So thanks. And the second question being, what's one thing you wish every leader knew about ESOP? So we'll start with you, Mr. Pankaj, first, and then the reverse order.
Basically, ESOP are legal and financial instrument first. So therefore, before we get or I mean, think about motivation, the structure should be right and legal, so that your once your base is strong, you are able to, I mean, explain it. Of course, motivation is also very important point, but with I mean, there is any lack of legality, in terms of your structure itself, then that goes for a toss. And hence it
Right.
becomes very, very important to have a legal I mean, this is a basically ESOPs are financial, a legal and financial instrument both. So therefore, it becomes
Right.
all the more important.
Right, sir. Mr. Senthil, over to you.
Basically, from my point of view, leaders should have the trust building. Trust building will happen through communication. As pointed out, town halls, the frequent town halls we are conducting. By that, we are building the trust because it's a equity ownership by all employees. So, hence, trust is more important here. So that all the
Right.
leaders should be aware.
Right. Mr. Manish, over to you.
Yeah, I would say like those start very plain, basic or simple, but start officially. No misses on the compliance angle. Go step by step. Have those things very clear from day one. Give a time planning for whom I am planning, what I need to do, and then please don't feel don't plan it like okay this is make it complex. Go simple but go officially. Even a simple documentation, simple steps, making note or SOPs will make is much better than the verbal promises which we make at the time of hire to the employees.
Right. So, thank you so much, gentlemen. We have a few questions that have come up in the chat. So we'll give it a quick 10 minutes and then we'll wrap up. Right. So, the first question that I can see is from Suhas. So, the question is, can someone talk more SAR options and its advantages? So, Manish, would you like to take that up?
Yeah, I'll just briefly explain it here and then I'll send you a detailed note on it so that you can go through it. SAR is like this full form is stock appreciation right. So by it names it's the appreciation right which I give to my employee. So someone joins me today. I have already created this organization to X number, say 100 CR wealth. Now you are joining me today as a CFO, as a CHRO, as a CXO of any different function. And I take whatever appreciation my organization will have from this point. From 100 crore of a company, my company becomes 150 CR. So this 50 CR of a wealth appreciation or the value appreciation, I'll distribute it with my employee. So whatever appreciation someone brings or whatever appreciation it happens from the date of grant, you will be eligible for that. Now that appreciation can be matured or liquidated or paid to you in form of cash payouts, or that equivalent amount of equity can be transferred in your name. Simply putting it, you give Manish Panwar 10 lakh worth of SAR on day X. After 3 or 4 years, if that 10 lakh becomes 16 lakh, so you will settle me either 6 lakh rupees as a cash payout in my salary, or you will give me 6 lakh worth of equity on the date of maturity, maybe 3 or 4 years down the line. But Mr. Suhas, I will be sending you a detailed note about it and we can just connect it. So in case you have any additional query on SAR, but it's a very long topic to just close it on a quick chat.
Right. Thanks, Manish. I
And,
think that really
and
helps.
quickly,
So we
sorry,
have a
quickly
To
on
question.
put it,
the
to put it lightly, I can say that employee is having the ownership on ESOP, whereas in SAR it is just a share based on the stock price appreciation. He will be getting it in future.
Right. So we have another question from Mr. Ankit. He asks, "What are the top three pros and cons of SAR when compared to ESOP?" I think we've covered this, and whether SAR is the best stock option to give stock appreciation benefits to non-employees. So I think the non-employees is something that we've not covered. So I think we can quickly take that up. I think the rest is something that we've
yeah
covered in this
Manish, you will
session.
be taking
until
non-employees. Yeah,
yeah
you can take Manish.
Yeah. So until unless we have to share settle it in cash only, so you can give it to non-employee as well. It's just a promise to them. But if you have to give equity, so they need to be your employee. Plus, a very best example and a very best route to solve this kind of a problem is for the non-employees. Better you launch phantom stocks. So phantom stock is equal to ESOPs, mirror image of ESOPs, but there is no compliance involved in it.
Correct.
And ultimately, employee will not get equity; they will get cash settlement. If
Correct.
the company have that kind of a reserves available, they'll get cash settlement of it.
Exactly, Manish. Actually, there should be a kitty towards that. I see one other question is for advisors and consultants whether you'll be able to give. The same answer will be applicable to that also.
Right. We have another question. How do you explain ESOPs compellingly to candidates during hiring? So I think Mr. Senthil, from an HR standpoint, to acquire new talent or
Yeah.
to retain
It's
existing ones?
yeah. It's very challenging one, and I think, as I told you earlier, if he is aware of ESOPs are in his previous organization, it is slightly easier. And if he is zero in his old organization and he is not having any awareness of ESOP or SAR in the past, it is much more challenging. Second thing is that in his past organization, SAR was committed, ESOP was committed, and it is not honored. It is still much more problem. He will not trust. So there are various parameters towards it. So we need to probably, what we speak, we should really act on it, and whatever we commit, we should honor the commitment. If that is the case, it's very simple and it is very easy to manage. But what I do is that, probably the employee who is already working in the system, existing in the system, he is going to be his colleague or he is going to be his future boss or subordinate. I will just probably pull in them and discuss in a call with the prospective candidate will really help.
Right. Thanks. I think Ankit has a follow-up question. He asks, can we give SAR of foreign company in India? Does it trigger any FEMA compliance?
Yeah, it will attract certain FEMA guidelines or recommendation. It depends what is the structure between that parent or that Indian and the foreign company first, and what is the resident status of that employee as well. So there are many two, three factors given the relation between Indian and the foreign company, the residential status of that employee with whom you are giving it, whether resident Indian or NRI Indian or a citizen of a foreign country, and particularly which foreign country. So even that FEMA will have that specific clauses. So again, yes, FEMA compliances will trigger, but not that complex as if it is a foreign company giving ESOP SAR to an Indian company's Indian employee.
Right. Uh, I think we have another question. If we already have a basic ESOP system in place, how is Xumane different?
This is my favorite question. Right. So definitely, though there are a lot of things like organization may have different tools, and every tool is serving one or the other purposes. Xumane, when it's come to Xumane, like it's our own product, so we'll definitely talk what is in it. Therefore, so it's an end-to-end platform. Right from the stage, any organization start thinking about stock options till they get 100% grant, vested, unvested, exercise, liquidity, everything is all customized DIY workflows wherein your all the stakeholders can run the platform on their own, write your own rules in the engine, right? So for more details, we can definitely come and set up a demo, not from a sales perspective, but just to show like how Xumane is different. Definitely, Pradeep, we can connect later on this as well.
Right. Uh, I think we have one last question. What's your take on extending ESOPs to non-core team members like contractors or off-role employees? So, Mr. Pankaj, would you
I
like to
think
take
Manish
that
has
up?
answered this question.
Yeah, I think it's in the same manner as SAR because
Phantom
they are
shares.
not an employee. And as per Companies Act, these ESOP can only be given to employees
Correct.
and not to non-employees. So therefore, it has to be tackled through the SAR route only.
Yes, I
Right.
correct.
Right.
And to specifically highlight, ESOPs cannot be given to any other than employee or any other. There are certain exclusions there. For this kind of a case, Mr. Rahul Mishra, phantom stock is best suited for you. And if the company is in a good cash position or a good balance sheet position, you can also promise SARs to those contractors and advisors. Even these SAR and phantom got started in US for these people only, the advisors, the professionals, the consultants only, and this is how this the birth of SAR and phantom stock has happened.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think Mr. Suhas says on SAR option you commit units or cash.
Both ways, Senthil will give a practical use case, I'll give you industrial use case. So generally it mentioned on your policy, it's mentioned on your SAR document, okay, how you are getting to settle it in, right? Whether it will be a cash settled one or whether it will be settled in equal value of equity at the time of maturity, right? Most organization, like for example, if I am at a good balance sheet, good cash position, right, I may offer that cash settlement. I don't want to dilute equity or I don't want to those equity compliances. But yes, On the other hand, you can also settle it in equity. So you mentioned it very clearly on your policy. Even open both the channels, because today we do not know what will happen to the organization after 4 years. So after 4 years down the line, we may either settle it in cash or give equity around it. Mr. Senthil, your take on it, how
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think
yeah.
is managing it?
It is both only. It is both only, and it should be definitely captured very clearly on the day one in the SAR policy. And probably we should have the option of both cash settlement as well as equity settlement at a later date. That will give more flexibility.
Sure.
Instead
Got
of
it.
doing one thing
So,
and we are not able to follow it in future, it will be a problem. It should be both.
right. Yeah. I think we've taken all the questions that we had. So thank you so much for an insightful session. And I think the key takeaway for me is that ESOP problems don't get better with time. I think when it becomes more and more difficult as time passes, more expensive, more complex, right? And both from an HR and finance standpoint, whether it's employee retention or compliance, everything starts with a proper structure. So we're here to help with any real advice, right? I don't want to sound salesy, but just if you want to have a random conversation about anything, any question, we're here, to answer them. And I think before we wrap this up, as a token of appreciation to both our panelists, we have, as a noble gesture, we have planted a tree in your name, right? And we would also be sharing the certificates and details with you, right? So, Mr. Pankaj, this is for you. I think we've planted a tree
Thank,
at the Sundarbans National Park in West
thank
Bengal,
you.
right?
Thank
As
you.
a token
Thanks a
of
lot.
appreciation, right?
Thanks a lot.
And most welcome. And for you, Mr. Senthil, as well.
Thank you so much, Nikhil and Manish. Don't have probably it's a great gesture. Thank you so much. It's my honor.
Yeah.
All right.
So thank you so much for your time once again. I think it was quite an insightful session, and the audience did have a lot to take away from it. So once again, thank you so much. Cheers.
Thank you everyone once
Thank you,
again. And
everyone.
whenever you visit next time the West Bengal Sundarban Tiger Reserve, do find a tree of your own name. Go there
It's a
with your
great
family,
thing. It's
Sure.
never thought
and
about. It's
we'll start charging royalty from the national park.
sure.
Great, great, everyone. Thank you so much,
Thank
audience,
you.
for those kind of a questions and patiently listening to us. I am seeing this as a rare occasion. When we at the start of the webinar, we had around 55 or 56 participants. Till 6:15, we had around 52 participants joined in. Yes, after Q&As and it's 6:30, people need to rush to back to their home. There's still 14, 15 people are there. Thank you once again, everyone, for patiently listening to this. We believe this has brought in certain fruitful conversations, certain fruitful lessons and takeaways for all of you. And Mr. Senthil and Pankaj, thank you once again for your time and 1 hour. Thank you, Mr. Nikhil, for arranging and hosting this wonderful question and answer. Those certain questions were very typical and all very promptu. But thank you once again, everyone.
It was
Thank
very
Thank you
you.
so
helpful
much,
to
Thanks
everyone.
a
get
lot.
your knowledge also.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
everyone. Have a lovely evening. Take
Bye.
care.
Same here.
You.
Take care.
Thank